As most of you know, going to college at this point in the United States is an extremely dangerous economic gamble. And in a bad economic situation, which most American families find themselves in, the solution has been to turn to very dangerous economic, not to speak of dangerous personal decisions. So what have people done? One of the things they've done is load up on a quantity of debt that is unsustainable. The rate of default on student loans is far larger than the rate of default on any other kind of loan in the United States. Students can't pay. They've spent too much money getting an education and then discover they can't earn enough to be able to live, let alone have a normal life, and pay off the enormous debts they've run up. It's a crazy situation, and it is costing this country in all kinds of ways, not least of all, more and more young people saying, I'm not going to get caught in this debt trap that has been set for me. For a country that needs to compete in the years ahead in a world economy, this is the equivalent of shooting yourself in the foot. You're making an educated workforce harder and harder to emerge in this country because you're making it absurdly expensive and ridden with debt. But debt isn't the only thing young people have done to get through school. I'm going to give you two other examples that have been in the news this last week. The old story is what's called sugar babies. That's right. Those are college students, particularly young women, who make a deal, typically with a business traveler who comes to the city, wherever their school or college is, periodically, to be, I'm going to be polite now, an escort for the time that this business traveler is in town. In exchange for the traveler picking up the tuition or maybe even the room and board of such a young student, this young student accompanies the business traveler the 3 or 4 or 5 times that he or she is in town. I'm being as polite as I can. You all understand what I'm telling you. There are tens of thousands of sugar babies in the country. There are whole websites devoted to linking or connecting the sugar baby who needs help paying for college and the traveler who wants what he or she wants. But we're still not done. The new one that I only recently learned about is called an ISA, Income Sharing Agreement. Here's what it is. An investor gives to a college student the money for his or her college expenses. And the student writes a contract, which is valid in court, agreeing to give this investor a certain percentage of their income for, say, 10 years after they graduate. We're allowing investors to cash in on a system that puts students in an impossible debt trap. So students have a choice. Literally sell your body, or sell your future income, or borrow more money than you can possibly pay back. Then you might think, as Hillary Clinton clearly does, that Governor Cuomo here in New York has done a great thing by passing a bill which says if your family earns less than $125,000 a year, you will be able to go to either a community college or a 4-year public school here in New York State without paying tuition. But there are 2 catches to this bill. 1, you must go to school full-time, 30 credit hours a week, and you must do it in the requisite 2-year program of the community college or the 4-year program of the regular full college. The vast majority, particularly of poorer people who don't earn more than $125,000, have to work to go to school at all, and therefore they can't do a full-time job and full-time college. They take a few extra years. We should encourage and make it easier for them. What this is doing is saying, if you're in that situation and you can't go full-time, we're not going to help you. What in the world is going on? But that's only the first catch. Here's the second. If you do this, if you get tuition waived for you, and you go to college in New York State under Governor Cuomo's bill, you must live and work in the state of New York for at least 5 years afterward. If you don't, if you get a better job offer, if your life partner comes from another state, if you have any one of a million reasons to move, you will lose the money you got because it will be converted by the state into a loan which you must pay back and on which you must pay interest. Now, why does this upset me? Why am I not grateful that at least some poor people will have some help for those of their students who can go to full-time? Why am I not happy? And here's the reason. Governor Cuomo, like all other governors, he's in no way unique in what I'm about to say, has spent his political career, a good bit of it, giving every kind of business imaginable, tax breaks, subsidies, arrangements for this and that kind of governmental help and assistance. And in very, very few cases, is there any limit on it? Is there any give back that is required? Any compensatory help to the state of New York? Millions of jobs have been supported by the state with money given to a corporation, which can happily leave the state a year later, 2 years later, 4 years later. Many have done so because there's no constraint on them. If we're going to help capitalists do better business in the state without conditions, why are we sticking conditions on poor people with incomes, family incomes less than $125,000, to help them through college? There is something terribly wrong in this set of priorities that governs this. So that when Mrs. Clinton congratulated Governor Cuomo by saying this is a wonderful achievement for progressives everywhere, all I could think of was the problem of her campaign. Same old, too little and too late. And it should not be celebrated anywhere near as much as the glaring contrast between what is done for working people wanting an education compared to corporations wanting a subsidy.